Hi Sandeep. Let's talk about alpha in the trading sense. What do you think is alpha and how does one really go about generating alpha?
If you look at the traditional definition of alpha, it means creating or generating returns in excess of some sort of a benchmark. So, in the context of stock market, it could be how a particular index is doing and how has been your performance with respect to that index. But then I have a problem with that definition because I it's very difficult to deconstruct that idea and use it for skill building or use it to become better. So incidentally, I was reading this book called Inside Black Box by Rishi Narang, if I've got the name right, and he has a slightly different perspective on alpha, which I liked. And so my view is similar to what he's trying to say. So I would say, in the context of trading that we operate, I would say alpha is about a skill to time entries and exits in a security consistently so as to generate excess returns with respect to the benchmark. So the difference here is the focus is on skill, the focus is on skill of timing and consistency. So, irrespective of the market environment, are you able to generate alpha by using your skills, by using your models which you developed, or using your strategies that you developed? Because skill would manifest in terms of strategies. So that's how I look at it.
So, how would you say how much of it is skill and how much of it is luck?
That's what we're trying to get away from. So if we are able to measure certain references in terms of entries, certain references in terms of exits over a period of time by an individual or by a strategy, we should be able to figure out whether it is skill or luck. Because if it works in different contexts over a period of time, then the probability of it being luck would be less, is how I look at it.
Sure, and that makes sense, right? Skill definitely plays a huge role in getting your entries and exits, right, irrespective of the market conditions. But how does one build that skill?
No easy answer to that. It would differ based on the context that one is operating in. If you are in equities, then it would be different. From a product perspective, equities and derivatives would obviously operate differently, commodities and so on. From a timing perspective or the holding period perspective, if you are holding a security for a week, it's very different from holding something for a few minutes like we do. So timing in any of these contexts is very different, and obviously the skill required to time entries and exit in any of these contexts would be different. Since my expertise lies in short time frame intraday context, I would say. So let me take an example here. So I like this concept of margin of safety, which comes from the value investing world, but I would want to kind of use it in the context of trading. So the idea is, if you want to become better at entries or exits, you need to figure out a way of identifying entries. If I specifically talk about entries, you need to figure out entries where the point of invalidation of that thesis because of which you are making that entry is as close or as close as possible to your entry. So it's not about you getting it right, but you should get to know that you're wrong very quickly, and that helps you move on. So that's just one way. But how do you do that? Obviously, there you would have to look at tools. You would have to look at different sorts of parameters. At the moment, we are heavily invested in market internals and how that could help us time entries and exits. But yeah, as I said, different time frames would have different tools and different metrics which could be used to time entries and exits. So we talked about entries. So likewise for exits, you need to know at based on some reference, based on some metric, that yeah, this is pretty much the move, and this is where it's safe to exit. So it could be on a weekly time frame, it could be on an hourly time frame, doesn't matter, but you should be able to time that exit. Yeah, so that's how I look at it.
Sure, thanks, Sandeep. That's helpful.
Sure, thanks. What's the name of the book?
Which book that something
inside black box.
Okay.